Hi again, this is Professor Innes, and we are now on Module 14, the title of which is Gay Marriage and Music. They're not the same thing here. We've got two different discussions. So keep in mind that we are still discussing libertarianism, and all your discussion on libertarianism fits nicely into this discussion on gay marriage and to some extent on music, because music, as we're going to discuss, is very emotive in nature, and people have ideas about what types of music should be allowed and what types of music should not, the purpose of them, how they can affect people's actions and so forth. So there is a political and social dynamic to music, because it can be seen as dangerous or useful. Right, but we'll get to that shortly. But first of all, with gay marriage, and like we just said, we have this consideration that libertarianism is well and truly a consistent theme throughout the cartoons. We're talking about the freedoms of individuals and freedoms of groups, and that if a government or other group was to restrict some individual or other group's actions, then they have to have a good reason for doing so. So what we have here, and we're going to discuss this, is J.S. Mill's notion of negative liberty. Keep in mind that negative does not mean to say it's bad. Here it's a mathematical consideration of negative. And this argument goes here that the government or other social group can only intervene to prevent harm to others. As we're going to discuss, this is important because when discussing religion in particular, we have to think to ourselves, right, okay, I've got this Bible in front of me. Can I use that Bible and what it says to prevent other people from doing what they like? Now, we have a problem straight away because we live in a secular society. We may like to think America is at least unofficially Christian, but as time goes on, we've got more and more people with different religious backgrounds, which might mean that Christianity is soon going to become a minority. It might happen here. So we've got a problem in saying that the Bible can be used, or the doctrines of Christianity can be used to say what we can do, what we can't do. So in gay marriage, we've got this understanding that it is a civil matter. And you're going to read about different considerations, such as, by definition, what is marriage? So are we going to go to a dictionary to tell other people of the same sex that they can't get married? So is Noah Webster going to be the defining person on civil liberties in the United States of America in 2016? There's a big question mark there. Is marriage for procreation? Right, okay, I've got a feeling here that, heterosexual couples are at different phases as far as procreation is concerned, and some people can have children, some people can't have children. Is it the case that you've got to get a divorce when you go past a certain age and you don't need to have children anymore, or whatever? The argument to say that marriage is for procreation, again, seems to be highly problematic. Is it based upon tradition? Are we sure that traditionally marriage was heterosexual in nature? We've got to prove here. So lots and lots of evidence has got to be provided here to say here that this is in fact the case, that tradition defines marriage. And as we said, with by definition and procreation, it doesn't seem like a reasonable argument to say this is the defining aspect of a marriage between two people, and therefore a reason why two people of same sex can't get married. And as well, you're going to read about the majority consideration. Should the majority define how other people act? Again, J.S. Mill, back to J.S. Mill, he defined this as the tyranny of the majority. Should the majority tyrannize the activities of the minority? Is this considered to be a just action in the social and political world? So you're going to think about those considerations within the gay marriage debate. And it's a difficult one, indeed, and it may hold certain concerns for certain people in the real world. And by certain people, I mean anything from religious people not liking it to gay people wanting to get married. So, a very contentious debate here. There are other concerns as well. Lots of people say that children raised in gay marriage are in some way going to be turned out to be not normal. So we say to ourselves here, right, is there evidence to back this up? Because I've got evidence to say that I've got lots of people I know who were brought up in normal marriages and they're not normal. We might argue here that heterosexual marriage has had its day, and it's about time we put a stop to it, because there are lots of wrecks out there being brought up by supposedly normal people within normal marriages and families. So we need evidence to back it up that children brought up in gay families, but same parent families, are in some way going to be detrimentally affected. Again, evidence is needed for this. And again, we're philosophers, and we don't take things by assumption. We don't take the assumption that gay marriage is bad because we were told it's bad. We don't take the assumption that being gay is bad because we were told it was bad from a very early age. We are philosophers. We investigate these assumptions. Right, so right from the start here, we've got this consideration of gay marriage being very contentious, and the arguments against it, well, they've got to be investigated, and it looks like they're highly problematic, to say the least. Okay, so keep that in mind when discussing, and as we said here, J.S. Mill is going to be used here, talking about the tyranny of the majority. I don't think the text mentions the tyranny of the majority. It's whereby the majority speak up and say, we think something should happen because the majority say it should happen, such as heterosexual marriage should be the norm, and therefore the minority who demand for same-sex marriage should be told, no, sorry, this is not going to happen. That's the tyranny of the majority. It's preventing these minorities from living a lifestyle, way of life, marriage, family, of their choosing. And yet we've got no good reason to stop them. I may find gay marriage to be offensive, but that's my personal viewpoint. I may find it to be something I would avoid, but again, that's my personal viewpoint. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with the reason argument to say why it should not happen. So, in that sense, the tyranny of the majority, therefore, is something whereby we bring in this negative liberty aspect and say here, right, can I prevent these people from doing this particular thing if there is no harm committed? So being harmful to me in the sense that it affects my emotions is not harm. That's my problem. So again, we've got problems in saying that gay marriage is wrong. So here, got plenty to discuss with that discussion. It's important to know this discussion anyway in the big wide world, because it is contentious, and it's still important today in 2016, very important with all the changes in the law, and particularly with the Supreme Court ruling of I think last year, I think it was. Okay, right, so the second part of your discussion is on music. Now, there's no consistent use of music in SouthPark, but it is used nonetheless. It is used to evoke emotions, evoke thought, contemplation. So it is there, and as far as we philosophers are concerned, this is an important aspect of what we refer to as aesthetics. Because we look at art, we look at paintings, sculptures, and so forth, and music is a part of this form of art within aesthetics. So in that way, we've got to look at what music does in SouthPark as it does in other areas of life. So we've got other political and social aspects to talk about. Could music be banned? Should we ban music? Plato had the understanding that certain music was shall we say, aggressive to the well-being of the individual and well-being of the social group. You're going to do some reading on that one as well here. Schopenhauer talked about the will. Music had a way of compelling, or as I should say, a way of illustrating the will of the person to go forward and succeed. So again, you're going to just have that discussion as well. So I'm going to leave the music bit with you, but keep in mind it's a social and political debate. Should music be banned? Should it be used for evoking thoughts? And again, the text goes into this nicely. I'll just bring up some considerations that Plato talked about, appetites, spiritual parts and rational parts, which are indicative of music. And likewise, what else do we have here? I'm just pinpointing a few aspects you need to look out for. Ethos, I mean, it's a sense of it brings forward that emotional aspect, where music compels us to think or be compelled to satisfy appetites. So again, which music should be banned is an important discussion, because music is banned. There is types of music which are not allowed. Parents ban their, well, they used to anyway, I don't know if they still do, but they used to ban their children from watching or listening to certain types of music because it evokes certain feelings, certain desires. Okay, right, so I'm going to leave that for your benefit. So, your journal entry. So what we have for your journal entry this week is, I'm just going to read it out to you. So, discuss 2 episodes where music, as discussed in the text, is important to the meaning of the ideal discussed in SouthPark. Discuss 2 episodes where music, as discussed in the text, is important to the meaning of the ideal discussed in SouthPark. So basically what you're going to do is find 2 episodes and discuss how it was used in those episodes, or how it was discussed. It's up to you. It's an open question in many ways. So just one more time for that one. Discuss 2 episodes where music, as discussed in the text, is important to the meaning of the ideal as discussed in SouthPark. Okay, your second one here is discuss follow that egg. Why is it important in the gay marriage discussion? Discuss follow that egg. Why is it important in the gay marriage discussion? The follow that egg is a reference to is an episode, a particular episode which has that discussion of gay marriage, and particular reference towards who's better at looking after children. Because there is an argument to say that the 2 same-sex children looking after egg did a lot better than the a heterosexual couple looking after the egg. Okay, so there we have it. That's your journal entry. And so discuss and make sure 50 words per reference, so 150 words for that entry, please. Please don't hurry with this. It's interesting and it's important in our contemporary world at this moment. Okay, we're moving towards the end of the course, so let me know if you've got any questions, any concerns, anything whatsoever. Please let me know. Okay, and sorry for submitting this module late. I had to make some changes to it. Okay, thanks a lot, and speak to you soon in the journals. Bye-bye.